may have recently noticed that Instagram is showing older posts again. And by older, I'm not actually talking about a couple of weeks. I'm actually talking about posts that were uploaded around 1 to 2 months ago. This is something that I've personally noticed with my own Instagram account. And in this video today, we're going to be talking about what that means and if it's a good thing or potentially a bad thing. So for those of you who are new here, my name is Kaylee June and I'm a beauty and fashion photographer based near Sydney, Australia. However, I'm also a content creator, and in the last couple of years, I created this channel to talk about all things social media, business, freelancing, content creation wise. So the topic for this video today is going to be, is Instagram moving towards evergreen content? Now, as I mentioned, I've personally found this to be the case with my own Instagram account. And for those of you who haven't watched my previous video on the fact that I spent 6 months daily posting a reel to Instagram on my travel account, realizing that older posts were gaining more traction recently is something that I noticed pretty quickly, and it was quite obvious to me. This is because I had been posting daily for 6 months and really noticing lots of different changes within the algorithm. Those changes just became more obvious to me as I was posting. So when some of my older reels started getting quite a lot of traction, I did find it quite strange because it had been months since I'd posted these reels. And I haven't personally had too many viral kind of reels on my account. The most popular reel that I've had is sitting at around 120,000 plays. But I did notice that that reel in particular, and some of my other ones as well that I'd posted months ago, were actually starting to get traction. And this is quite recently. I'm talking like within the last couple of weeks. They have been getting more attention, more comments, more likes, more views. So I did find that a bit strange because in the 6 months that I was posting daily, quite often these reels would drop off the face of the earth within about 1 to 2 weeks, and I feel like no one would ever see them again. And that's with posts included too. So that was the first indication I had that the algorithm was changing up yet again. And then I also started to see more reels and more posts in my own feed on Instagram that were literally posted a month or 2 ago. And I was also finding that quite strange. I started to think initially, was it a glitch? Was it something that wasn't meant to be happening on Instagram? But over the last couple of weeks, I've seen this happen more and more. And I'm actually starting to realize that I think this is now something that's being built into the algorithm for a purpose. So in the past, you may have already noticed that it has been quite difficult to search on Instagram. And SEO was not something that I feel was really focused on with Instagram's search system on their platform. I don't feel like it was really easy to find things that you necessarily wanted to find. And that was always kind of a problem, I felt like, for a lot of people. If you go to any other social media platform, including platforms like even YouTube and Pinterest, and I actually feel that even TikTok has a better search function. Unfortunately, Instagram, I feel like, was at the bottom of the pile for that. So it makes it really hard to create things like evergreen content when people aren't really able to successfully search for what you're offering in that sense. It had also been a platform where the pace of things was always so quick and things would drop off very quickly. Like I was saying before, a lot of posts would sort of last for about a week or two. They'd get shown to people for about a week or two, and then they would just drop off and no one would pretty much ever see them again. So there always seemed to be this hustle or this rush with Instagram to post daily content or to post really quick, regular content to keep yourself relevant and to keep your content relevant on there, which sometimes I feel also affected the quality, because I often felt that having to post daily and having to post so regularly does kind of sacrifice in that way sometimes. So I did always find that Instagram was very difficult in terms of search function for that kind of evergreen content to actually exist. And just to clarify, evergreen content is content that is really relevant continuously. So you could search for it in another 5 years. For example, it might be a tutorial, it might be educational content, or something on a particular topic that people want to search about. And if they search again in 5 years for that said tutorial or educational piece of content, then it's still relevant. So that's what I mean by evergreen content. And I do feel that a lot of that content does fall through the cracks on Instagram. Hashtags as well can really only take you so far because they're not really focusing on search phrases, which is really difficult again for that evergreen content to exist. As I mentioned just a second ago as well, with the pace of people uploading to the platform, I think that makes it really difficult for evergreen content to to exist on there again, as it's like there's just too little time in a day to actually recommend or show all of the content that is being uploaded. So if Instagram is taking this direction, you might be wondering, what does this all mean? Well, the number one point could be that your content remains relevant for longer, which I actually happen to think is a good thing. Sometimes it's a bit disheartening when you create a piece of content as a creator and within 1 to 2 weeks it's no longer relevant and it virtually doesn't even exist to most people on the platform. I feel like that's kind of a sad kind of feeling. It's all about that rush of social media that a lot of people dislike, and I think having your content remain relevant for longer on a platform like Instagram is something that could be really important and something that could add a little bit more quality back into the kinds of posts that we see on Instagram. The second point is that how-to or educational content could really reach much further on the platform. Now, as we all know with Instagram in previous years, we've seen this very big aesthetic prominence with a lot of the posts on Instagram. I feel that ever since Reels has come in though, and there's been more of a push for daily content, I feel that there has been a little bit of a drop in the aesthetics of Instagram, which I think is okay. I don't think everything should have to be perfect on the platform, and that's the way it was kind of going, is that everyone had to have this very curated feed. They weren't allowed to try anything different. They weren't allowed to think outside of the box really with what they were doing, because it was so important to have that aesthetically good looking feed. So I think that that's kind of a good push away from that too. And it could be really helpful to have more how-to content on the platform as well. Having more educators or people who are wanting to educate people on the platform, I feel like is becoming more and more important with Reels and has become more popular with that. So if that how-to content really remains more relevant for a longer period of time too, or becomes more of an accepted type of format on Instagram, I think that will be a really important move as well. And as I mentioned before, I really do think that the content quality may improve because if more people are aware that their content could be shown for weeks on end, it might actually make them strive to create higher quality content, and maybe not just something that's going to be thrown away after a week or two, or really not reach any eyes within that time frame. Because in the previous years, it really has felt like that, as I mentioned previously, and a lot of that content really hasn't been shown for a long period of time at all. And there also may be less of a push for daily content with the algorithm, which I've actually been finding recently. Ever since I stopped posting daily to Instagram Reels, I have actually found that I've been getting just as much traction with my follow account, with my views, in a little bit of a different way, but just as much, I would say. I don't think any of the engagement has dropped either. I will say that the first 6 months really posting that daily content helped me get a little bit of traction going with my account, but ever since I've stopped and I've been doing about 3 to 5 posts a week, I haven't seen much difference. So it's really nice to take a step back from that and feel like I'm not having to post daily to Instagram. However, there could be a slight caveat of this, and that is the fact that there may not be as much repurposing of content anymore on Instagram. And at the moment, this is something that I kind of rely on, I guess, with the higher pace of uploads that I'm making to Instagram at times. I do like to repurpose my content every now and then, because in the past I've known that people will only see some of my content for a couple of weeks and they'll probably never see it again. So I really like to repurpose it often, and that really just saves me from struggling to find new ideas every week, and knowing that that content still becomes relevant if I repurpose it to my newer audience members and the like. But unfortunately, if Instagram starts moving towards more of an evergreen model with their platform, it will be harder to repurpose that content, because people may be seeing that content you've posted for months. So it might be a little bit more difficult to do that, and the repurposing time frame might stretch out a lot longer. So I'd really love to know what you think, and do you think that Instagram is moving towards more searchable content and more evergreen content? And do you think that that's a good idea or it's a bad idea? I'd really love to know if you guys think that they should be moving in this direction, and feel free to add to the conversation down in the comments below, because I'd love to chat more about it there. Personally, I like the idea of slowing down the pace of social media a little bit and actually going towards more of an evergreen direction. I do think there's a lot of benefits that come with that, and especially for people like me in the educational fields, or that do quite a bit of teaching. Like, for example, I do have my other main channel where I teach photography tutorials and things like that. I feel it could be really beneficial to integrate that kind of content onto Instagram more. And personally, I would really like to search for things on Instagram and for what I'm searching for to actually come up. That would be really great. All right, well, if you liked this video today, please give it a thumbs up. And if you haven't subscribed to my channel already, make sure you do, because I'll be posting a lot more content like this in future. Please let me know down in the comment section as well if there's any requests that you have for my channel. I'd be happy to hear from you. But thank you again so much for watching this video, and I'll see you in the next one.